Good morning, everyone. Jo here at SportsGrid. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X as well as YouTube. It's a wonderful day, April 19th, and the NHL playoffs will kick off today. Now, we've got two games on deck today. Both of these games should be good ones out there, and I'm looking for one upset out here on the ice. We're going to talk those quickly. The series bets I do have coming into this one in case you've missed those videos, but otherwise we're going to jump into game one here. As always here on Pocket with Jo, we will do the recap at the end of the show. So jumping into the first matchup here, the St. Louis Blues taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Now, if you missed the video on those series bets, I do have the Winnipeg Jets taking this series, and I do think this is a pretty fast series out here. So the Winnipeg Jets to win it in 5 is my prediction. You can get those bets in now before this game kicks off. You can also take the under 5.5 games for the Winnipeg Jets to win it. That's coming in at plus 136. I like the spread, of course, if I think the Jets are going to win in 5, laying the 1.5. So those are the series bets. If you're looking for more detail into why that's the way I'm looking, make sure you do go over to YouTube, to X, and check out that video. But let's jump into the first game here between the St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets. Now, we've got Jordan Binnington versus Connor Hellebuyck, and I do think a red-hot St. Louis Blues team, even though I've got the Jets to win this, can take game one of the series. That's another bet you're able to get in. The St. Louis Blues to win game one and the Jets to win the series, and that is coming in at plus 360. Was another bet that I did get in there. But looking at this game, if you already have the St. Louis Blues to win game one and the Jets to win the series, I wouldn't put in the money line here for the St. Louis Blues because you're kind of doubling up your bet. But I do think they get the win in game one here. Looking at how hot they've been rolling into the playoffs, I do think they will get the nerves of Connor Hellebuyck. We know Connor Hellebuyck, the better regular season goaltender when we look at their stats compared to each other over Jordan Binnington. My problem with Connor Hellebuyck in game one is I do think those nerves will come to play. We've seen those shaky playoff games for Connor Hellebuyck between the pipes, and we look at Binnington versus Hellebuyck and how that's played out over the years. And Binnington has been the stronger of the two goaltenders. Now, I do think Connor Hellebuyck at the end of the day, by game two, really is into that form that we've seen in the regular season. He gets nerves out from underneath him. So it's going to be a goaltending battle here, one that Binnington has every ability to hang with Connor Hellebuyck. But I think at the end of the day, the offenses come out so differently here. While I think St. Louis can roll in hot into game one, I do think over the stretch, we're going to see that power play converting for the Winnipeg Jets. The Blues not staying in or not staying out of the box over the course of this series. Game one, though, I expect the Blues to play disciplined out there as well as be able to get the win. So the St. Louis Blues right now on the money line, let's just quickly go over those odds on FanDuel. We're seeing the St. Louis Blues at plus 162. That line is dropping. They were plus 172 earlier today, so money is coming in on the St. Louis Blues. It's almost $2 favorite here for the Winnipeg Jets, and rightly so. This team's so solid at home. I just think the Blues pull off the upset in game one. The puck line is too juicy if you like the Blues plus 1.5 minus 176. If you like Winnipeg to win it big, minus 1.5 plus 142. Now this total sitting at 5.5. The problem with the total of 5.5 is unless you like it to the over, you're going to have to lay way too much juice to the under. The under 5.5 coming in at minus 162. The over is at plus money at plus 132. When I look at this game, I do think there's a couple other ways to bet it other than taking the St. Louis Blues straight up on the money line. And if you like them in the money line, I would look at them as well to win it in 60. I don't think we're going to see overtime in this game today. So the 60-minute line here for the St. Louis Blues, three-way to get it. So, of course, you can't push in that 60 minutes, right? Because that would push us to overtime. With a 60-minute line coming in at plus 240 for the St. Louis Blues. Gives you, 60 more points of value over the straight St. Louis Blues money line. Now, I do think another way to take the St. Louis Blues, if you don't know if they can win it, expecting them to hit Connor Hellebuyck. The way the St. Louis Blues are going to win today, they have to get 3 goals on Connor Hellebuyck. If this is a 2-1 finish, it is the Winnipeg Jets who get the win. So looking at St. Louis Blues team total over 2.5 goals coming in at plus 128. I do think this is a 3-1. 2 or 3-2 style win here for the St. Louis Blues. And this is because that offense, I think, rolls in hot into game one, hits Connor Hellebuyck before he gets his feet underneath him. Okay, so looking at the player props in this one, Dylan Holloway is out of the lineup, and he had so much depth for the Blues. It is a little concerning for me, but look for Robert Thomas to continue to roll hot. Robert Thomas for the anytime goal coming in at plus 320. He's definitely one of the more underrated centers out there in the whole league. You look at him and what he's been able to do. Rolling into the break, he was on a 12-game point streak, 25 total points, 4 goals, and 21 assists. I do think Robert Thomas can come into this one and get us that goal. It's coming in at plus 320 with how hot he has been. It's going to be pivotal in this matchup. But you guys know I like Kyrou. I like Braden Shan. I like Jake Neighbor. So if you want to take a combination of any of them for their points, I'll just take Robert Thomas for the goal. Now, when we look here at the Winnipeg Jets, there's no denying what this team can do on that power play. If they have those power play opportunities continuously in this game, the Winnipeg Jets are going to blow the St. Louis Blues out of the water. There's only so much goaltending can do when facing the power play here are the Winnipeg Jets, which is the best overall in the league, converting 28.9% of the time. Now, interesting to note, both power plays are decent, 22.1% for the Blues, but huge difference there. The kills. The kill is weak for the Winnipeg Jets. They can't afford to allow St. Louis to go on that power play either. Their kill at 79.4. The kill is weak as well for the St. Louis Blues at 74.2. So neither team needs to allow the opportunity, but I'm expecting after a shaky start, Connor Hellebuyck will stand on his head because, like I said, I think this series goes Winnipeg wins it in 5. I give the Blues the first game and the Winnipeg Jets the next 4. So Jets fans, don't come after me. I am after Jets win in this series, even though it pains me a little. You guys know I love the St. Louis Blues. But the Jets, the Canadian team, I do think gets it done, moves on to the second round. So looking at Kyle Connor so elite on that power play. And I think with a kill of 74.2%, you have to look at the power play point tonight for Kyle Connor. That's coming in at plus 200. I do think he's going to have that opportunity. You can also look at him for his shots on goal. Now you have to fire him all the way up to 4+ shots on goal. That's coming in at plus 154. But you look here at the Winnipeg Jets, you look at Kyle Connor's ability to get those shots on goal, and he is the top on the team for attempted shots as well as shots on goal. And he will be firing in this one against the defense of the Blues, who we know can lock down, but they have been allowing those shots. This game will come down to Binghamton. And Binghamton postseason steps up another level. Hellebuyck has had that bit of regression in postseason, so we'll see that in game one, I do think. Now, if we're looking at a player that has that recency against a team or in the first round, it's Adam Lowry here of the Winnipeg Jets. He scored at least 1 goal in each of the Jets' last 3 game ones of the playoff series. So looking at Adam Lowry, we have so much value at looking at him for that anytime goal today. It's coming in at plus 600. I know that I really do believe this is a lower scoring game, especially for the Winnipeg Jets, because I think it's the only way that the St. Louis Blues can win. But a sprinkle on Adam Lowry at plus 600, I do think is worth a shot. And then the power play point for Kyle Connor. So I think it is a great way to go with this matchup. It's going to be a great one, you guys, for sure. The President's Trophy curse. Yeah, it's real. I hate it. I really do. So we'll see what the St. Louis Blues are able to do. The Sens and Florida for the series. Yeah, Rob, it's going to be great. If we can see those two match up in the second round as well, the Battle of the Kachucks, it's going to be a lot of fun. The Vegas and the Wild breakdown will be up later today, so make sure you stay tuned. Those will be dropping tonight, actually. So after I'm on In-Game Live with Scott Wetzel, we are on from 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, so make sure you come over after that, and then I will have those previews up. I didn't want to overwhelm you guys with all the previews in one day. You're taking the Winnipeg Jets and the money line first period under 1.5. I looked at that first period under 1.5, and I completely understand why you would be looking at the first period under 1.5, because I do think these two teams, this is a goaltending battle out there, but I'm kind of nervous with that first period. I do think if we see 2 goals in the first period, I would be coming back in on the second period under 1.5 goals. It's something that I have in my mind that I want to look at. I could see the St. Louis Blues really pushing the Winnipeg Jets in that first period, and that's what kind of scared me about that first period. I'm looking for the lockdown in the second. So if you want to bet the second period under 1.5, I really do like it, but I want to see how that first period plays out before I get those numbers in. But I really hope that you're able to get it. Matt, I'm so glad to see you here. I appreciate you being here, and I'm glad you're able to catch us live today. So let's make some freaking money. Playoff day. It is a great day. Happy Easter as well to everyone. We had our Easter dinner last night with my kiddos. It was a lot of fun. So let's jump into the next game. The Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars. Now this one, 8:30 p.m. Eastern puck drop. To note, the St. Louis Blues Winnipeg Jets game, I will be live on the grid, so make sure you come over. Scott Wetzel and I'll be live betting the game. That's where I'm going to be looking at that second period and what I'm liking, and probably the third period as well. So definitely something to know. But looking at the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars, if you didn't see my series, I do think the Avs win this in 6. I would love to see the Avs win in 5. But you look at this Dallas Stars team, they have so much depth on all of their lines, and I do think they're going to really push Colorado. If Colorado can come out and win the first 2 games in Dallas, so I do think this finishes in 5. Looking at Colorado, they're healthier. Gabriel Landeskog back in the lineup for them. The Avs have the speed, and this is something that's so important in round 1 of the playoffs, is that speed coming in against a team, especially like Dallas, with how they finished the season. Dallas has absolutely struggled down the stretch. I don't trust them out there. So I would take Colorado in 6. Colorado in 5, definitely worth a sprinkle. I took Colorado to take the series 4-2. That came in at plus 380. So those are the series bets that I got in. My biggest concern here with Colorado, as I noted in that series bet, is Mackenzie Blackwood. We don't know how Mackenzie Blackwood's going to come out in the postseason. He doesn't have playoff experience, and I really do hope the Colorado Avalanche are able to give him that support. The main thing about Colorado here is that speed in transition, and we talk about Nathan MacKinnon, we talk about Martin Necas and what they're able to do out there on the ice and the speed they're going to bring to this game. I think it's going to be way too much for a Dallas team that hasn't been playing a full 60 minutes of hockey out there on the ice. And you've got a goaltender in Jake Ottinger, whose numbers just haven't looked as impressive. His games haven't looked as impressive as last season. So I do think Blackwood can come out strong. Hopefully the nerves do not get to him and allow Dallas to be able to capitalize on that. Now, one thing about Dallas, since the Four Nations break, this team has been allowing the most shots on goal. Their defense taking that step back since that break of any team out there in the league, allowing 32.17 shots on goal per game. So I struggle to see Jake Ottinger being able to really stand tall enough between the pipes to shut down Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, Martin Necas, Brock Nelson. Like, you keep listing these players and these playmakers for this team, and the list just continues to go on. Colorado is absolutely loaded out there with players, but then you also have the depth of the Dallas Stars. They can roll out all of their lines, and their lines are so strong. It's crazy when you start going over the lines and the playmakers on each and every single one of these lines. And what really stands out to me is that third line there for the Dallas Stars. That's Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnson, and Mikko Rantanen. Now we know Mikko Rantanen used to play with Colorado, so you're going to see that bit of a chip on his shoulder versus his former teammate in Nathan MacKinnon and the rest of the Colorado Avalanche. But I do think that third line is deadly. We have Tyler Seguin back in the lineup. He has joined the second line as the right winger. And then you just got playmakers up and down. So I do think this is a solid team, but I think Colorado's speed and how we've seen Dallas go into the playoffs is really going to hurt them. Plus the fact Jason Robinson left the last game of the regular season in a knee brace after that game. I am unsure when he's going to be back on the ice for the Dallas Stars, but that was a huge hit to this team. We know Jason Robinson was so strong at lighting the lamp that it's going to be a hard one for them in this one. Now, since the trade deadline, we've seen Colorado go 12-5-2, scoring 3.42 goals per game and locking down on the defensive side, only allowing 2.42. Look at this game, though, for that first period. the nerves of Blackwood and Ottinger, I do think, come out. Both teams to score in the first period. I think this is a really high-scoring series between these two, because if Colorado comes out here, Dallas is going to have to try to keep up with them. I do think the Blackwood issue is an issue for Colorado. Colorado's going to have to outscore opponents, bring that speed in transition, and get those breakaways. So give me first period, both teams to score at plus 146. Give me the Avs team total over 3.5 at plus 108. And then let's look at some players that I'm going to be looking at. Let's talk first Nathan MacKinnon. He's picked up at least a point in 7 straight against the Stars. So he's really solid for his points tonight. Looking at his assists, though, he's got 84 assists on the season in 79 games, registered at least 1 assist in 6 of the final 8 games. So Nathan MacKinnon, while he's a goal scorer, he's also able to get those assists on the board. Keep in mind, Nathan MacKinnon, we're going to look at him for a point and we're going to parlay it. So Nathan MacKinnon, and of course, then you got to talk about Cale Makar. So he enters the playoffs on a 7 point streak versus the Stars. So he's had 7 points versus the Stars, and 10 of those have been assists. So he's been playing really, really strong out there. 7-game point streak, 10 assists over that time. So we've seen him so strong. So Nathan MacKinnon, an assist you can look at. Cale Makar, an assist you could look at. And then Martin Necas. We look at Martin Necas, and since joining the Colorado Avalanche, he's scored 28 points, or he's put up 28 points in 30 games. He has at least a point in 3 of the last 4 versus Dallas. So you have 3 playmakers here that have been able to rack up the points versus the Dallas Stars. If you take them separately for their points, it's way too juicy. But if you take Nathan MacKinnon, Martin Necas, and Cale Makar, each for a point parlay together, it's plus 143. If you want to leave Necas out of the combination, you're going to have to lay minus 143. I don't recommend it. I don't like laying that much juice, but if you want to lay some juice and just have the 2-person, but when you look at it, you've got Martin Necas on the top power play, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar. So they're all on the top power play together. You have Cale Makar on the top defensive pairing, which then will come out with that first line with Nathan MacKinnon and Martin Necas. If I was looking at who I think would get the goal, if you want to take a goal scorer instead of the points, it would be Nathan MacKinnon. I look at Nathan MacKinnon and how competitive he is in the playoffs, how strong he can come out. So I would look at him. When we look at the Dallas Stars, there's no denying Mikko Rantanen, right? So you look at that third line, that is where we're starting to get so much more value for these playmakers. Now, Tyler Seguin came out in that last game, and right away, he was able to get an assist in that game. I would look at Tyler Seguin to come out nice and strong, but I do think we look at Ben and Wyatt Johnson here for their points parlayed together, and Rantanen. So all 3 of them on the third line. The problem is the books are not giving me Jamie Benn for a point tonight. Not sure why. Jamie Benn has scored a goal in 3 of the Stars' last 4 game 1s of the playoffs. So if you're looking at Jamie Benn, he's coming up plus 400 for the goal. If we look at Ben and Wyatt and Rantanen for a point, it's coming in at plus 121 because I wasn't able to get the point for Ben. So Wyatt and Rantanen, 1 point each, plus 121. We know on that third line, we're going to see one of Wyatt or Rantanen score. And I do think it's probably Rantanen, that revenge angle. But then you could look at Ben as well, because I think Ben has every ability with what we've seen in past playoffs. Looking at Wyatt and Rantanen again, plus 121 each for a point. But then if you add Ben, because of that recency for the goal, it comes into plus 400. So that takes a plus 121 plus a goal to plus 685. A couple different ways to look at that. I would look at all 3 of them if your book, just for the point parlay together, if your book allows it. But Rantanen versus his former team, Jamie Benn for the goal as well. I like both of those guys for the goal. Nathan MacKinnon on the other side, and you can't count out Cale Makar for that goal, even though he's an offensive defenseman. So you guys, it's going to be a great matchup between these 2 teams. I'll just take a quick look at your comments, and then we'll do the recap here. So good morning to you, to Mo. Colorado in 7, Rantanen will be the factor. Yeah, Rantanen really needs to step up for the Dallas Stars. We could see him be able to do so. So if you're looking at Rantanen, he has 5 goals, 18 points in 19 games played for the Dallas Stars. He has been so strong. I would look at him for his points tonight, his goal tonight. I do think Rantanen will be a difference maker out there for them. Canes and Devils series will be the sleepiest. Yeah, I'm almost thinking we'll see how Jacob Markstrom comes out, but we could see the sweep if he does not come out strong. You're glad the Avs have crappy goaltender. Yeah, Blackwood. I don't know how we're gonna see him. Vinny, good to see you here. And John, late to the show, but let's make some freaking money is right. Let's get into that recap, you guys. It's going to be a hot day on the ice. Again, 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Join me over on the grid. Stay tuned for my MLB Cup of Joe. We got to talk some diamonds, but on the grid, we'll be talking NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, everything happening on the diamonds as well as what's happening out there in the golf world, as well as UFC tonight. So let's jump in to the recap. The St. Louis Blues versus the Winnipeg Jets. Again, you guys, if you want my series bets, head on over to X or YouTube to get those. Game one here, I'm going to roll with the St. Louis Blues with how red hot they've rolled into the postseason to get the win. They're coming in at plus 162 on the money line. That money line is dropping. It was plus 172 earlier in the day. You can take the 60-minute three-way line for the St. Louis Blues at plus 240. I do think they come out strong, pull off the upset in game one, and then Winnipeg will respond in game two. Look for the St. Louis Blues to have to score over 2.5 goals to be able to get this win. Over 2.5 goals coming in at plus 128 for the St. Louis Blues. Give me Jordan Binnington for his safe shots on goal today. If you're able to get it, I would take Jordan Binnington all the way up to over 32.5 save shots on goal, while the St. Louis Blues will lock down on the defensive side. You look at the playmakers here for the Winnipeg Jets, and they are going to pebble Connor Hellebuck every single chance they can get. So that brings me to Kyle Connor and how strong he is at getting those shots on goal. 4+ shots on goal for Kyle Connor coming in at plus 154. I'd also look at Kyle Connor for the power play point coming in at plus 200. Adam Lowry has been so strong in game ones for the Winnipeg Jets, being able to score in the last 3 game ones for the Winnipeg Jets. His anytime goal today plus 600, definitely worth a sprinkle. When we look at the St. Louis Blues, Robert Thomas for the anytime goal plus 320. 81 points on the season, definitely underrated for a center out there. I'm looking for him to find the back of the net. He's been so hot rolling out of the regular season into the playoffs here. 25 points, 4 goals, 21 assists in the last 12 games, you guys. So Robert Thomas for the Blues, Adam Lowry, Kyle Connor for the Winnipeg Jets, and then give me the Blues to pull off the upset. When we look at Colorado versus Dallas, this is all about Colorado for me. I do think they can get the win, but I think this is such a high-scoring series that we look at that first period over 1.5 goals. The over 1.5 goals is coming in too juicy, though, but I think both teams can light the lamp in the first period. Both teams to score in the first period coming in at plus 146. When we look at the Avs team total, I love it to the over. I'm expecting 4-3 style game here with Colorado getting the win. They're too juicy on the money line, so I'll take their team total over 3.5 at plus 108. The playmakers I'm looking at in this one, Nathan McKinnon, Martin Necas, and Cale Makar for the Colorado Avalanche. If you parlay each and every one of those guys, 3 guys for the point, coming in at plus 143. All 3 have had success versus the Stars as of late. And the Stars haven't been playing a strong 60 minutes, but I do think you can get something out of Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnson, and Mikko Rantanen. That third line is absolutely stacked for Dallas, and that's our biggest strength, the depth of this team. They can roll out all 4 lines and have production. So looking at that third line, that's where I'm going to go for this game, expecting that third line to be really strong. Now, Tyler Sequin back in the lineup as well, but I'll look at Ben and Wyatt for a point together. That's coming in at plus 121. Jamie Benn, because of his success in game ones for that goal, coming in at plus 400. If you parlay all 3 of those guys together for the point, I like it best. But if you add Ben for the goal, it's coming in at plus 685 with Wyatt and Rantanen for a point. Rantanen, we know, is going to really step up versus his former team. So, you guys, that is where we're going. I like Kyle Connor for 2+ points as well. I think Blackett is a really good way to go in that one. And then you've got 2 points for Val anytime goal. Okay, Kyle Connor, 2 points, Mark goal. Mark Scheifele goal, and Cal 2 points, Val anytime goal. I like where you're going with all of those. So we're going to do MLB talk with Joe. You know we have to do some MLB talk with Joe, so stay tuned for that for sure. Blake, Makar assist seems cheap at -120. It absolutely does. Cale Makar for the assist, especially with what we've seen out of him. He enters 7-game point streak, 10 assists over the last 7 games. So Cale Makar for that, definitely. Oh, Cale Makar, there you're going. Cale Makar for those points out there. I really like it. You guys, all the best in all your bets. Again, join me over on the grid 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern today. 1 to tomorrow is, I have to convert the times in my head, guys. Tomorrow 8 o'clock Eastern we finish up 4 hours before. So, or no, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow we finish up. So 4 hours before. You guys, we'll see you tomorrow here on the grid for more NHL playoff predictions. Stay tuned for the rest of those series predictions. They will be dropping later tonight. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys.